Dr. Bunsen? Yeah,
บุญ
please.
สมนามสมบูรณ์
Yeah,
okay
please.
yeah
Yeah.
first of all I would like to thank you Dr. Veena who invited me to come here and this is my first time yeah today we are talking a lot about equality I observe that the people here and the people down is similar number right now. We are talking about the equality. Okay, and may I go down because I would like to be in the least situation. I remember that before I come here at the airport, I decided to buy the travel insurance. So if something happens when I sit down there, don't worry because I will be able to claim. Okay. Today, in fact, we are trying to talk about may I have my slide? We are going to talk about women empowerment. But today, I think that I like to change a little bit because I really appreciate that I see some men in this room. Yeah, so I would like to write something special for them. So why don't you raise your hand for the men who are participant in this room? So how many right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Only 4? Okay. Before I end of my presentation, I will do something. May I have the... This is it. Yeah, okay. Which one that I can use? The green one?
Which one? The video one?
The green one, okay. Yeah. So today I am going to talk with two items. The first one is about the women's unpaid work, and the other one empowerment in Thailand. Okay. Why women? Because when we say about unpaid worker, we are thinking about women. Let's go back to Thailand, and then we will see that in the formal Thai traditional, I think it's similar to the other country also. Women were expected to be housewives. So after that, the parents did not send them to school. So this is called that they have no need to go to school because in the future you would just have to work at home, so no need. But in the formal sector, require the degree. So this is effect right now. Women cannot apply to work in the formal sector. So there is one choice, they have to work in the informal worker. In the other way, Thai culture also, we expect that the family member have to be taken care by women, and for example, like cleaning, cooking, and men have to work outside. Women work at home, men work outside. It seems that it's already equal. But after that, because of the economic situation, women have to go to work also. But women like to also work at home as a housework. So there is one way that they can choose become like a home-based worker. Okay. And when we talk about the informal sector, there is the statistic for the informal sector that they are surveyed during July up to September last year, and then we found out that 38.3 million are employed person. It means that the population in Thailand is about 65 million. And there is only 83.3 million employed person. The other is mean like the children, the elderly or something like that. So within 38.3 million, There is 55.3% out of 33.3 million were informal employed. So we will see that it's a big number of persons who are in the informal employed. And the majority were in agriculture sector, and most of them had low education. We see already that why they have low education. So there is a statistic comparing the percentage of informal employment by level of education attainment from 2013 up to 2018. We will see that the number is not different. It means that we have to consider that why it's happening like this. So it means that the informal sector, they have no chance to upgrade themselves or to study more, to learn more. It might be the same group that they used to work as the informal sector since 2013 up to 2018. When we talk about unpaid worker, I would like to emphasize on home-based worker. Why? Because home-based worker is the one who decide that they like to earn money for the family, but in the same time they like to work at home also. So that's why they become a home-based worker. We are going to talk that when like people who work as a home-based worker, and then surely that they work as an unpaid work also. So what we do right now, the state provide something for them. There are three parts, the state and they themselves and also the NGO. What does the state do? The state provides social security to them. Social security in Thailand, we divide into three articles. The first article, 33, this one provides for the one who work in the formal sector. And 39 is the one who used to work in the formal sector and then they resign and then they like to get the same benefit. So that's why they have to pay by themselves. Because when they are under Article 33, there are three parts pay for them, themselves, the employer, and the government. Yeah. And number 40 is the one that provide to everybody who are not belong to in 33 and 39. So it means that, in fact, in Thailand, it seems to be that everybody be able to under the social security. And the next one that the government provides is the universal health care coverage. So everybody who are not under the social security, they can go to the hospital and they pay just only 30 baht. So it means about $1 US dollar, and then they can get the service. And the next one is elderly allowance. So as long, suddenly that you become 60 years old, you will get 600 baht per month. And if you are 70 years old, you will get 700 baht per month. And if you are 80 years old, you will get 800 baht per month. And after that, you will get 1,000 baht. Even you stay longer, 100 or 200, you will get 1,000 baht only. Okay, and the next one is provide for the handicap allowance. So those who be handicapped and then you have to register, you will get about 700 baht per month. For the non-state emphasize on the community, like community fund, that the government provide to the community, but the community have to organize by themselves to manage this money. It's 1 million baht. It's 1 million baht per one community. The 1 million baht is equal to about 33,000 US dollar. But this one like a living fund, so it means that when they get this one, they have to do something for the benefit from the for the community. Like this. And the other one is funeral fund. This one usually organized by the people in the community themselves. And the next one is saving group also. Many of them, they do a saving group. Okay, that one is just sample that the community do by themselves. For the NGO task, the NGO will provide training like skill training, occupational health and safety or law, etc. in order to empowerment the women to be able to work by themselves, to group themselves, to be like a network, and then they can bargain with the government. The second one, sometimes we also provide them like street trip in Thailand and other countries. We also encourage them to set up their own network, and we also provide them the information. We also do the research in order to let the government see the importance of the people, and then to benefit with the, in order to change the policy in the future. Okay. This is some picture I will show you that we provide them like this one is productive training, and the second one, this one is a first aid training for them. And this one also, we train them about how to work together so that they will see exactly what is the benefit they get from being together. And this one is a network of domestic workers in Thailand. I bring the domestic worker in this presentation because, you know, when we say that unpaid worker, we have difficulty to calculate that how much we charge per day or something like that. But domestic worker is the one we like to be, because first of all, if I did not work at home as a housework, I have to hire somebody to work as a domestic worker, and I have to pay a lot. So this one can be calculated that if you did not work, you have to pay about this. So it means that in your housework, it has some expenditure about this. And most of them get very high. You see, they get about 600 US dollar per month. It's higher than the one who graduate from the university. Yeah, yes. Especially, you know, right now we have many Myanmar people who come to work as a domestic worker in Thailand. And this Myanmar have a good in English, so they can work with the foreigner who is an employer, so they get higher than Thai people also. Okay, and then this comes with the bargaining power, that the people, they have to bargain in order to ask the government to provide them under the Social Security Article 33. So, in conclusion, unpaid work is a significant work load for many. The second one, unpaid work is unequal distribution between female, male, and third generation people. I work as a people about the HIV/AIDS, so we also consider not just only two sex, male and female, but the other group, third gender. Okay, and the last one, unpaid work had both positive and negative externality that affect economic performance. Okay, for the future plan, we...
Excuse me.
Yes.
Will you please wind up soon
Yeah,
now?
last one.
Yeah.
Last one, yeah. I try to be here because I will not see you when they show about the sign. Future plan, survey on unequal work, because in Thailand we never do this one. And the second one, policy dialogue for visible on unpaid work, and etc. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Talking about Thailand policies, Thai policies in this area. I think now there's time to discuss, but before that I would just highlight the main points which maybe you would like to discuss very quickly. You know, one thing I would like to point out that there are certain supplementary measures to 3R which I couldn't mention because of time, and these steps are, first of all, equal ownership of all resources. Second is social mobilization for voice. Third is legal support for unpaid work, giving voice to unpaid work and controlling unpaid work. Another thing is institutional support. And finally, free choice. Women can cook, no problem. Women can do childcare, no problem. It should be their free choice. It should not be imposed on that. That's what I mean. I'm not against women doing unpaid work at all, but it has to be free choice. Now, about the points that we have to discuss is, I think one is about workforce participation rate of women. It's low, and there is a huge debate about that, but I will not talk about it right now. It's a point that we can discuss. Second is about valuation of unpaid work. Third is about entrepreneurship. What we talked about, I mean, a lot of people have talked about. Fourth is about mindset. And you know, mindset from childhood, some people say that at that age you have to say, but I think that if mother is owning the resources and father is sharing unpaid work, the mindset will change automatically because children will know that both are equal, both have to do both the work. And finally, I would like to say that entrepreneurship of women, yeah, that's one thing. And education and training, which is of course one of the supplementary measures I was talking about. And I open this floor for discussion, comments, questions, whatever it is. Please go ahead.
Is there a mic? There is one mic here.
Thank you very much. I'm Kinley from Myanmar. Also, it's very much interesting for me because I'm also a working mother, so that's why unpaid work has been done a lot in our hometown. So, but what I'd like to hear from you is that the actions. What can we do at our home? That fashion and designer also mentioned that action. We need the action. We have done a lot of policies or papers or many things, but we have to start at home. So how can we start at home? But for me, it's quite impressive that my husband, he has never done before household chores, but now he realized that this is very much stressful and very tiring work, and now he realized to share the housework together with me. So how can we persuade our husbands or our family members? This is very important. I think that we should start from home and find ourselves. So, dear sister, can you share any other thoughts? Because I like to motivate our sister from our country. So thank you very much.
Yes, please. No, we can do that later on. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. I'm actually from the Maldives. And I've been listening since morning to what has been going on. I think as Honorable Minister mentioned earlier, that, you know, one size fits all cannot be taken as our model. First of all, in Maldives, for example, now we don't wait for the husband to eat before we eat. Maldives situation has changed. We also have, like, for example, one of the first countries in the region basically to make 12, 14 years of education compulsory. And then girls and boys, they achieve, the education is equal. There's no, and constitutional strength has been given, provision has been given for us for gender equality. But where are we failing? We are failing in implementation. We are failing in not bringing the multi-sectoral approach and also the political will all coming together. Now, what I also want to say is, imagine this situation. Like, for example, we all assume that the unpaid work is seen as a problem by all of us. There are people who take it as a pleasure. There are people who consider it They are given right, God-given right to do it. Yeah, so what I'm saying is, like, for example, imagine this situation, like we as women, when we walk into the house, after a day of hard work, using a completely different hat, we walk into the house. We walk into a house of socks and shoes and ties and all that, and then we walk towards the laundry, put them together, run down, and then we start ironing. While we ironing, we also have our tea for the husband, who's nicely sitting over there in the couch as a couch potato. We are also cooking the tea over there while we are ironing his shirt, because he has to go out for his socializing. And then while this is being done, we are also on our social media. On one phone, the phone is on our ears. We are ironing. We are also watching TV. We do all that. Some of them do it because they feel that it's their God-given right to do it. Some of them feel it because they have no other choice. Where is the demarcation line between paid and unpaid work? It is simple patriarchy. And also the attitude, the mind shift. And unpaid work is not a matter of choice for some people, but imposed on the woman as a social construct, pushing them completely out of the lifetime of economic invisibility. What I'm saying is, as I think Pramila Rijal said, that, we all know what our issues are. We all have we have same issue, but different degrees of influence on us. So basically, I think, Veena-ji, that what we have to talk over here is basically not actually our issues. What we have to talk about here is the solutions, the strategies. And I would like to see at the end of this conference, for us to all of our countries to come out with different strategies and then put it all together to solve these issues and then and the concerns that we have over here. I think that would be an achievement for us to do. We have been sitting, not SWAN conferences, so many conferences. We go and we spend so much of time talking about our issues. Do we know our issues? Excuse me. In the region, we know all our issues. Let's come up with strategies. Let's solve this issue. Thank you very much. Thank you, panelists, for all your really excellent presentations. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, please, last one.
1, 2, 3. Good evening. My name is Sarita Kumari, and I think it's
Afterwards,
on.
you, please. Huh?
Yeah. So I just want to say, I want to show a picture of the rural India as well. Because right now, today, we've spoken about women working, of course, on the rural side as well. But I come from Rajasthan, and I live in a village. And what we've done there, and in most of the little villages there, is that we also give a pension, the government gives a pension to the woman and a child. If she's above 50, if she's above 60, she gets more. It starts with 1,500, 2,000, goes up. If she's a widow, then she gets, the children also get 500 rupees per child. So that is all there. But what we've done is, we don't give it in hand. We give it in the bank account. So that means a woman can operate the bank account. Now, when she goes to the bank, that means she needs to have an ID card. She knows how much money she has, and plus it comes in the GDP, which is so important. Because now we know exactly how many women in my village have a bank account. And when they do that, it is so easy to calculate what they are getting. Also economically, they are standing up now. Plus, they have started with, we have the Rajasthan government, and I've got some details which I'll be giving in also, is we've started a lot of schemes there for women. They can start their microfinance, and we are giving them initiatives. They have, if they have goats, they can sell their milk. We have little shops which have been allotted to them. They can make their money by tailoring, by making pickles, by doing anything. So in Ghanera, what we realized was that about 65 women are doing, 65% of the women are doing something. So it was just by giving them this little initiative in a bank. So with that amount, it's that dignity, and which we are talking about is dignity, unity, and wisdom. So we are giving them all that. Plus, we also have these, whatever they make, produce at home. We do it, we sell it to organic stores all over. In both my hotels, we have a lot of women workers as well, and we work with them. We have a school with about 180 girls, which has been going on for the last 3 decades. And when these girls are coming up in every class, we have different kinds of alternate education for them. Not just sports and education, but also what they can do from their homes. Whether it's a kitchen garden, whether they are good in art or stitching or whatever. So we do have initiatives for all of these girls as well. And they are coming up and starting their own schools as well. So in a lot of villages in Rajasthan, over the last 10 years, we have multiplied the schools by 3 times. So there are a lot of girls going to school now. There is a lot of work going on. And there was a time, I'm also a member of, it's like an All India Heritage Hotel Association. So all the heritage hotels in India have an association, and every year we have a meeting. So about 5 years back, the first time they invited me on a panel, I was the only woman there. And the only thing in fact, the guest, when we were on the panel, the gift they gave us was a cuffling, because they thought all of them would be men. So that was the time then. And just this year when we did, so we were about 50% women there. So they have acknowledged that all the heritage hotels, it is the women who are doing their part. So we are being acknowledged, we are running hotels there. So there is a lot, and Rajasthan is quite backward in India. But still, there is a lot of improvement.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Thank you. I'm Indira again from Nepal. Just a little information for, I think the first speaker, who was the chair, Dr. Indira. I think I got you wrong, all right, whether you mentioned 3 countries in South Asia that really has the time allocation data. Because I just want to sort of bring up to your kind notice that post-1975, when there was really, after the International Women's Year Declaration, when there was this big hullabulla about involving women in development, I think Nepal really brought up the milestone study on the status of women in Nepal, when there was, of course, cross-country studies that started. In Nepal, which started in 1977 and ended in 1981, the time allocation itself was undertaken over 6 months period, the random sampling. And among the 8 researchers, Dr. Meena Acharya was one of them, and Indira Shrestha was the 8th researcher. So I think there was a team of 8 people involved in studying 8 different ethnic groups in Nepal, the major ethnic groups. I think that's where the data, for the first time, really was established, and then the policy documents, policy statements, recognitions, all that programs started. And this disaggregated data has been ongoing, especially in Nepal. I wouldn't speak for other countries, every 10 years. And the last data that we have is post-earthquake 2015. So we have 30 years of women in development with disaggregated data using time allocation study. Then we have the case studies, storytelling, quantitative, qualitative, ethnographic data, all these, of course, different sizes because of the scope. The original study was undertaken over 4-year period, but then the consecutive studies was a little bit, time frame was a little bit shorter, like 2-year period, 1-year period. But we have the data disaggregated over the past 30 years, especially in Nepal case.
Okay. Thank you.
And of course, I very much agree, support Mariam. The solution, this is established data we have. It's like a cliche playing, a gramophone record. We've been going on with this, what women do, what they don't, what we should need. It's needed already, brought it up over almost 40 years now. I think efforts should be more advocacy, more strategizing, more monitoring, auditing. That's where I think our focus and priority should be now.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Yes, on this side, please.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, please, please. I think men should get some reference today.
I have a rather specific question in that there's a lot of discussion going around about the fourth industrial revolution, the biotechnology, biological and technological changes which are now permeating almost every aspect of rural and urban life. And how would that, it'd be interesting to know what the panelists think on how that is going to impact the gender divide. And the other question I had was, is technology making it any easier to measure a woman's unpaid time? This is a very specific question actually, because it would be interesting to know if all the technology that we have on the ground these days and so much that we hear about, is it making things any easier? Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yes, over there, please. Oh, sorry, please come here. After that, you please. You please. Yeah.
Thank you very much for giving me the chance to speak. First of all, I would like to thank Rinaji. This is my first time in the SWAN conference, and I think I kind of felt the sitting in the hot seat since the morning, being the marginalized person or among the marginalized group. It was different feeling, and I think I've realized how our respected women would feel coming to such gatherings in Afghanistan back home. So I feel that, I'm honestly speaking, I feel that being in the hot seat and kind of marginalized since morning. But the discussions were very positive, and I've learned a lot. As someone rightly stated, going back to the discussion of the context of different countries, I think in the context like Afghanistan, it's somehow accepted and acknowledged by the women that they should stay home and work at home and be engaged in the unpaid work. That is part of the culture, and it is being accepted by the Afghan women somehow. wanted to get your acknowledgement. No? But if we see it as a problem, I think women would require a lot of advocacy to advocate for their own rights, to get that recognition, and their work to be valued by the husband, family, and neighbors and the community. The advocacy must start from the home, from the family. The husbands, brothers, fathers, mothers, and sisters and brothers should recognize their work and value their work. Then I think the awareness that someone talked about should be at the community level. The mindset has to be changed, although it's not easy. It's a difficult thing. Again, in the context of Afghanistan that we live in, it takes years of time to change people's mentality. And as philosophically someone said, change cannot be forced. It has to be natural. So if we think of a natural change, it takes a lot of time. And then I think the other level of advocacy for women to make their voices heard and make a point and have a change in the people's mindset is to kind of refer to the Constitution and to the policies and regulations at the government level and constitutionalize this appeal and kind of legalize this appeal that at the constitutional level to that the recognition and valuing the work and the unpaid work at home should be formalized in the Constitution as well as the marriage contract, whatever. Depends on what religion we are in. So there should be a formal recognition and endorsement of the values and recognition of the unpaid work in the Constitution as well as in the marriage contract. There has to be a lot of community awareness work again. I think all in all, as we all understand that women should have equal rights. So it's, and if they are actually, if they are half of the society, they should raise their voices and advocate for themselves. And I think respect and integrity cannot be taken but given by the people.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else now? Oh, this is the last one now. Oh, you want to speak afterwards? Yeah. Please.
Yes. Very last, very brief. I was just being nitpicky as a researcher. So, having been associated with a couple of status of women's studies in Nepal, at the same time now consigned to work for gendered vulnerabilities in the age of climate change, I wanted to share some insight, but more so being nitpicky on, as you all discuss, on the quality and reliability of data. Once I was in Swiss National Park and there was a wolf that was fossilized and there was a wooden image that said, the last wolf was seen in 1924 in this forest. So that really got me tickled. And then I asked my Swiss friends around, how do you know this wolf was here in 1924 and this was the last wolf? And they said, you know, we have a cantonal system and everything that is significant to this village, we discuss it in Canton. And then, of course, we got discussion about keeping data. And then I asked them, how do you keep your data? And they said, you know, for the last 170 years plus, we've been keeping data at the hamlet level. Now, I know as a researcher and a trainer researcher, for those who go and do research, including survey, sample survey, case studies, PRA methods, etc., we constantly struggle with this idea of how much. And I know in the last Status of Women in Nepal, we said women work for as much as 57% of the GDP in the informal sector. My only interjection today was, if our countries like the Swiss could keep our data at the hamlet level, I think that would be a very good reference point, and we could also triangulate with all other census data, sample data, and what have you not, because we are constantly questioning the quality of our data, which leads to information and wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vinaji? You are the real last now.
Thank you. I think this has been a very interesting and very important and useful discussion. I think the 5 points, Indraji, that you used for the summing up, they were very relevant. And I think what we could do, and I think we should do, is that we could ask each of the SWAN countries to let us know about the situation regarding time use surveys and other estimates for unpaid women's work that exists in their respective countries. Because as Indraji was saying, in Nepal, there is some estimation, and Shakila was saying that in Maldives also there's been, but it may not be by the international SNA standards that has been there. So that would be very valuable to be included. And I think that it's time to really think about this aspect of changing mindsets. Not that it's something that will take a long time. Nobody is forcing it, as you said. Nobody is trying to force anything. But the very fact that women, even in Afghanistan, are working now. I mean, it's not like earlier where women were not working outside the home and were only working in the home. So that very natural division of labor took place. But now when women are everywhere working outside the home, and then they are not, it's assumed that this working outside the home is in addition to whatever else you may have to do, which is your, given responsibility within the home, then that imposes a burden which mitigates against gender equality and creates a difficulty for the woman to exercise her equality in each aspect. One example of this, of course, is the falling female labor force participation rate. There may be many reasons for it, but certainly one of the reasons is that when there is a problem, it's the woman who opts out. And the other factor of women working in what is called the informal economy, which is in any way very poorly documented and with very, very few rights for the women who are working in the informal economy, including whether it is social security or pension or even in security of service and so on. So I think there is a need to take this up because certainly this aspect creates an impact on the young children's mindset. Let's not think about it for ourselves. Okay, we have done a lot and maybe that's okay, it's finished with. But certainly for the next generation to see that this division of labor, forced division of labor has to be perpetuated, that is not a healthy sign because it does not help when they want to go into the workforce and be an equal in every way. So I think this needs to be looked at. And I think, Sardaji, what you said about the bank account, that's vital because that's the first step, that they're getting the money in the bank accounts, you know that they are part of the workforce. But still, the fact that you accept that all the work in the home you have to do regardless. Whatever else you may do, this work you have to do. So this, I think this choice aspect has to come into that. And this fact that just accepting that some unpaid work should be shared. Looking after the child. I mean, the child belongs to both the parents. So why should there be an imposition that only one parent has to do all the looking after the child? That is not natural. Because when it comes to ownership of the child and sharing in the joys of bringing up a child, then both parents share in it. So I think these aspects have to be thought about. Well, don't you think so, Basir Saab, that ownership of the children, I mean, both parents have equal joy in the children. So sharing in the looking after children should also be together.
I take care of my kids at home.
What's that? Yeah, oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. That's a very great step forward. Thank you. So I thought that we could go ahead on this. I don't know if our chair will agree.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody would like to ask any
Yes,
question.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Now, there are many questions, and you please be very brief to the questions asked to you. So how do we start?
Maybe you start by saying you want to say something.
I just wanted to comment on a few things that was raised. Yeah.
And then pass on.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it has been a very enriching to listen to all what we've been discussing since the morning till today. And before I go ahead, our intention was never to marginalize anyone. And if it does, then I don't think we have done justice. So we're talking about equal share for both men and women. So marginalizing men wouldn't achieve anything for us as well. So we have to ensure that we doesn't do it. Also, I would like to highlight on a few points. One question was that whether the technology actually contributes to what we're talking today. I think it very much does. And today we see a lot of, especially women at home, they utilize the social media platforms to, market some of their home-based work, etc., and etc. So there are people who actually earn money utilizing these platforms, and that makes it very accessible for them. So I think that's something that we could materialize furthermore as well. I just want to share one of our experiences which we had, Maldivian colleagues would witness that we had a week before we came here. There was this art exhibition done by Dr. Naila, who was the very first gynecologist in the Maldives. And it was a whole art and craft work done by her throughout the years, like even before we were born, we only knew her as the gynecologist. And now only, like sitting today, we realize she's also a great artist. And she has put up this artwork on top, which costs like 50,000 rupiah per art piece, and it's a huge, a talent, which an economic talent that which has been hidden for herself as well as to others. So I think there would be so many hidden talents which, if we can enable our women there, we could actually make them more active and contributing more. So I think we have to make sure that our policies would create this kind of environment for, especially for the women. For instance, our government is introducing SME loans precisely for women, and other kinds of avenues where they can access to funding and resources to come up with their own creativity and come up with their own businesses and work, which will actually allow them to get into the formal economic contribution as well. And also, we, like national and international policies, need to redesign in such a way whereby this unpaid work is being calculated and being shown as an economic contribution in figures, like in numbers. Then only people would understand what we are actually talking about. So I think those are the few things that I wanted to highlight, which could bring in changes when we go back, and we all are like in platforms whereby we could actually make a voice, a strong voice, to make sure that these changes can happen. So we do not want to keep repeatedly talking about the issues and the problems, but rather we want to start talking about, this is what we have done and this is the result that we have been showing. So probably we will come up with some rocket science in the future that we change the world and we see like, oh, both men and women have their equal share in our society.
Thank you. Do you have to say anything?
Just a few things. I think when we're talking about unpaid women's work, I think we have to be clear, what are we talking about? Are we also talking about the informal sector, where it may be low paid or it may be underpaid? But on the other hand, we are also talking about totally unpaid work, caring of your children, caring of your elderly parents, household chores, cooking. So unless we are able to understand with clarity, solutions are different. Just now we are talking about sharing the household chores responsibilities, because that is a responsibility which is for our own family welfare. And NGO or state cannot come and cook for you to eat your 3 meals. I think it is your own family affairs and your family welfare. And unless your family is healthy, unless you are able to produce healthy children, there is not going to be a healthy nation and a happy nation. So I think it's a very important responsibility, but how we do it. The solution that some of the participants mentioned about what are the solutions. And only now we have started talking about this unpaid women's work, putting it into economic value. So now we are discussing, it's brought to the table for dialogue. And as a first step, I think realization I believe it's a first step. Realizing, recognizing, and accepting that yes, this is an unpaid work which must be shared, because now women are also coming into public domain. Those days, women were not in the public domain. They were in the household. Now they are coming into public domain, plus they have to do this unpaid work. So the solution must be something like, I think I liked what the Thailand showed about state providing social security schemes to take care of the elderly. And then, of course, NGOs and civil society working on entrepreneurial development for women in the informal sector. And this is happening. For Bhutan, we have so many women's group that we have come up with.
so that the informal responsibility that they are taken is able to make an economic sense. We have farmers groups on vegetables, farmers group on weavers, so that they are able to produce and sell them, and then earn their income. So ultimately, I believe that the women has to stand on their own feet, so that they don't depend on, although they make money, as I said, their perception is that only the husband earn. So although they may earn, the perception is that. So now we have to have a lot of advocacy and education program to really educate on this. These are shared responsibility. We have to share, and this is a societal responsibility actually, sharing a family. So advocacy definitely, and then entrepreneurship program for our women, which is happening, and we must enhance, we must expand so that women are able to make a good earning, that they can be equal to men. So these are some of the thoughts I had on what are the solutions. And also, just to mention about what Bhutan has done in terms of working mothers in the formal sector. We have extended maternity leave for 6 months, and also paternity leave. And we had a lot of deliberation there. We, in fact, also came out, instead of maternity leave, can we call it family leave? So that after a certain age of a child, maybe the husband can take a leave and take care. So we call it a family leave. And it's existing in Nordic countries like Denmark. They have this family leave where a father takes leave and then take care of the child after 1 year or so. So these are some kind of, I think, policy that the state must come up. And these are some recommendations maybe we can propose from this meeting. What are the actions that we take by the state in terms of policy and strategies, and in terms of other support mechanisms, how we can support to make girls more economically independent and empowerment. Thank you.
Yeah, a very quick suggestion for the action and strategy, which is a related. My friend from Myanmar raised a question with how to act, and from Maldives about coming up with a strategy. So may I suggest for the next conference, what about changing the structure of the conference? Instead of talking the panelists, we can divide several sessions, and then we can come up with a group with workshop, so that we can have some ideas, exchange the idea. From this, we can list the needs of the women, and then we can draw the strategy. But it's a hard work, but can we change the structure of the conference? That is my very quick suggestion. Thank you.
Can I just respond on that? Yeah, let me respond on that immediately. See, what happens is, what we do normally, and this is the practice, we've taken up this issue of unpaid women's work perhaps for the first time in our conference, because we realized the important role this issue plays. This important role this issue plays not only in the mindset issue, which is vital, and we all know that unless you have a change in mindset, you're not going to get any change in society as far as gender empowerment and equality is concerned, and also taking up the issue to see what can be done about it. So certainly, as we decide from this conference, if we decide that each country will let us know what is the position in your respective countries about on unpaid women's work, and maybe we'll hear from our colleague from Thailand what is the advances they have made, then by exchange of emails in the intervening period, we can perhaps come up with a policy which we will then share again on the email. So in that way, if we formulate an approach based on the discussion today, in the interim period, by email and so on, working on the report. So each of us does work in the interim. So when we come back next time, we already have a policy paper. And then certainly if there's a need for a separate discussion, it can be done. But very often that paper is already agreed upon because we have been working on it on the email and the internet. So that saves a lot of time in discussions, and then we move ahead. So the idea is to actually, based on what we get from individual governments, to formulate an advocacy strategy. As I think some of the people mentioned it here also, to create an advocacy strategy to see what we can work on this very issue. And maybe none of us have thought of it in great depth, but we should do it now and then take it ahead on that basis. Yeah.
Anybody else want to say anything?
Thank you. I agree what you said, Veena, but I think that one round table is very important. And then also the little bit introduction of people speaking, because I go to World Economic Forum and think just very short. Then the open discussion is very important, interesting. I would like to, I forgot your name, sorry, about Rajasthan. You would know that nearly 15 years I was invited by the government, and all the point you said, it's very nice. I think it's the biggest state in India. Everywhere you go, it's beautiful, but a little bit under. For me, being a Bengali girl, I saw my mother, grandmother wearing kota. I didn't know it exists in Rajasthan. But I think only they still have child marriage, they still have problem, but the work you are doing is excellent. I know most of the hotels, you know, even Digi Palace, more than 50% are the women, but women are coming up. Keep it up. It's like my second home, you know. Just this year, I started working in other part, not doing. Keep it up, because it's a country, it's a state, has everything, but like, and underpaid. But Rajasthan started giving initiative for the women, and women are getting for the craft more than men. But it's, I think it's for the woman to speak up. You know, we should say we want the equal right. If we don't decide at the home, that's why I said home, and please, young generation should know the feedback of this thing. Young generation are the future. You have to motivate them to respect the woman, pay the equal, but they see no one is care, we don't care. Thank you very much.
Yeah, while ending, I would just like to answer some questions which are pointed at me. Let me start with Fourth Industrial Revolution. You know, Fourth Industrial Revolution is a huge technological jump in technology with 3D printing and intelligent IA and many other things. But women are not capable of taking up this technology, and I'm sure they'll be thrown out, because you require not only skills, but you require super skills. And women have to do a lot, and if they don't do, they'll be thrown out of Fourth Industrial Revolution. I can tell you that, unless they learn something. So education and skills are extremely important for women. That's one point. About technology in the US, time use survey, yes, it is there, it is being used also. For example, you can use tablet in data collection. That will help you in coding. It will quicken the work of data collection, it will help you in coding, and it will help you in analysis. So there are many other issues in technology in time use survey, which can be used, and people are using this technology. Third question was asked about Nepal. That lady has gone away. But Nepal did good work, as I mentioned, under Meena Acharya. They did very good work, and they did some work for Dawn also. But all the work was small-scale surveys and not national. They started national time use survey in 98, 99 with labor force survey, and that was a modular survey, which is not good enough. My next question, which was asked, is about entrepreneurship development. Entrepreneurship development is good. All enterprises by women are all welcome, but they will require support in unpaid work and sharing work. Unless they do that, enterprise of women won't go up much. And that's what we are seeing today, that level of enterprises of women are at a low level, while of men, they're at a higher level. So patriarchy, resource ownership, access to credit, these things are very important. That's why I said those supplementary steps, that ownership of resources is good. About Rajasthan, I would like to good work, but why didn't you do something for attacking unpaid work and reducing unpaid work? That's my question. And other things are, of course, fine, and that's really welcome. And finally, I have just one question left out, and that's about how to persuade husband. Is there any person over there? Yeah, you asked me how to persuade husband. I mean, it's, we are mixing up two things. Giving childbirth is one thing, nurturing child is another thing. We have clubbed these two and given it to women. That's not correct. Women can give birth to children, and then they can, initially for some time they can help, but later on men can play a very important role, but we don't say, we say men can't do that. Why can't men do that? That's a wrong mindset that we have in mind. Finally, I would like to end with thanking all the presenters and audience for asking good questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll congratulate the panelists for this, and also to say that we have a dinner planned this evening for the India Habitat Center, and the buses will be going from here at 7 o'clock to reach. So please, all of you, to join, tell all your delegation members. Some people have gone off for different things, but please, the dinner is at, it's a SWAN dinner at the India Habitat Center at 7:30. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much to all the panelists.